why we don't eat kitniyot during Passover. So I just want to go over a little bit of that, some laws connected to it. So kitniyot are similar to the 5 grains in the sense that they're grown similarly and they're ground oftentimes into flour. So the rabbis have recommended that we stay away from them so we don't get them mixed up with chametz. There's 2 ways to get mixed up. One is that you see people grinding these items, like let's say corn or whatever. They ground up corn, they make cornbread, and you see people eating that. People come to think, oh, they're eating cornbread. They can eat. You can eat other types of chametz as well. You could push back on this and say, well, today you have all these amazing cakes that are made from potatoes, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But the other reason would be that like when the grains are collected, sometimes it would get mixed in like these other grains that are close to the chametz grains. They would get mixed in. The chametz grains could get mixed in, and in the barrels you'd have like different grains of chametz. So when you bake it, you cook it. You'd be cooking chametz. Similarly, when the barrels are close to each other, there might be some mixing in as well. So we stay away from kitniyot. It's developed in Ashkenazic circles between the 13th to 15th centuries. Sephardic circles did not accept this. Like they weren't as careful with that. They weren't worried about the same things, although there are some Sephardim who are careful to stay away from kitniyot. Some don't eat rice. Some in Moroccan communities, they also don't eat some kitniyot as well. What are kitniyot? Like, what are examples of this? So there's a whole, we put out, if you go on our Facebook page, you put out, or at least on the WhatsApp group, I put a list of types of kitniyot that are forbidden, but here's just a few: buckwheat, kasha, rice, millet, beans, lentils, peas, sesame seeds, and mustard, like were included in the original kind of decree. And then it's generally accepted also that corn, green beans, snow peas, sugar snap peas, chickpeas, soybeans, sunflower, and poppy seeds are forbidden. Do you remember all those? You want to recite them back in order? No, just joking. Now, potatoes, coffee, tea, garlic, nuts, radishes, and olives are not kitniyot. And there's discussion around peanuts. Rav Moshe Feinstein seemed to say that they were okay, although he notes that people are careful to abstain from eating them and derivatives of that. What's interesting is there's certain, what's unique about this custom is kind of developed over time. So Rav Moshe Feinstein points out that, you know, there might be products, food products that are more common now, but they were not around when this custom developed. 2 examples of this are potatoes. So potatoes weren't in Europe until like the 16th century. So when this initially started, this custom, potatoes were not included in that, and that's why potatoes are so prevalent. And people, like, especially for vegans, if you follow kitniyot, if you stay away from kitniyot, that's basically a lot of what you're eating during Passover. But so potatoes are permitted, and similarly quinoa. So there's some discussion around that, but the OU and Star K permit quinoa because quinoa started becoming more prevalent in recent times, and it wasn't included in the original original custom of kitniyot. So here's just some practical halacha laws connected to it that you might find interesting or helpful. We don't eat kitniyot, we can own it. So, you don't have to go crazy burning it, removing it, or etc., nullifying it. No, just put it aside, like we talked about the other day, and you don't have to sell it either. Just put it aside and don't eat it during Passover. And you can take it after Passover without purchasing it back. You can also benefit from kitniyot. So you can't eat it, but originally we were afraid there's so many layers of being careful here. We didn't extend it to benefit from kitniyot. So what would that mean? I'm a proud owner of turtles, and I don't feed them chametz during Passover because you cannot benefit from chametz. But I could feed them kitniyot, but they won't eat it. So then I end up getting them non-vegan like shrimps, and then everything's good. Okay, so I actually do that. I give them like worms and shrimps during Passover. It's like kind of counterintuitive, but you can benefit from that. You can benefit from non-kosher food. So I feed it to my turtle, and it benefits it as well. It loves it. All right. So also, like for instance, like let's say you have baby powder that has cornstarch. Same thing. You're benefiting from it, although you're not eating it. If someone there's a great need, you can eat it as well. Like for a baby or somebody who's sick, it wasn't included in that. And what's really interesting halacha is that let's say you have food on Passover and a pea fell into it, or I don't know, some sort of, you're cooking in a kitchen next to somebody who's not careful with or whatever, and some of their kitniyot falls into your dish. So because this is like a custom that developed and we're careful because we're careful for other things, kind of like a really extended custom. It doesn't extend as far as chametz goes in terms of mixtures. Even if a little bit of chametz falls into your mixture, the whole thing's forbidden. But here, if you have the majority that's not kitniyot, it's permitted, even if you taste the kitniyot. So let's say that's a lot. Let's say you have a dish, right? And green beans fell into it. You should remove the green beans. But if the majority, or you can't remove it, got blended in or whatever, and the majority is not kitniyot, you can eat the dish. I'm not being, the Mishnah Berurah says majority, some say a 60th, but the OU website says a majority and other websites as well. So that's just good to know. And it's relevant also, final halacha, it's relevant for dishes too. Say someone cooked for you something in a kitniyot, in a dish that, in a pot or pan that was used for kitniyot, even the last 24 hours. So the taste that went into the food from the pan or the pot is not half of the amount of food that's in the pot. It's not even a 60th probably. So therefore, if it was cooked in a pot or a pan, you can eat it. You shouldn't do it in the first place. You can eat it after it was done in the first place and not worry, because kitniyot is a custom that it was established based on our fear for eating chametz. We don't extend it as far in terms of the dishes and in terms of the mixtures. It only has to be majority versus the kitniyot to allow you to eat that mixture.